Japan is wooden palaces and temples, beautiful gardens, martial arts, lanterns, children's festivals. Japan is also the bullet train, stylish cars and glamorous girls, youthful energy, and much else besides. Our starting point, Hiroshima. As you wander among the bright lights in the evening, it is hard to believe that just 36 years ago this city was completely and utterly destroyed by the first atomic bomb. Here at the Heiwa Koen, the Memorial Peace Park, is one of several monuments. Beneath this mound are the scorched remains of thousands of victims. Another monument decorated with wreaths. The gruesome statistics of destruction are almost impossible to grasp. 70,000 houses wiped out and over 200,000 people killed, of whom more than half were either completely vaporized or reduced to unrecognizable fragments. Is it possible that any people on Earth could deserve such a terrible fate? Over there is the shell of the former Industry Promotion Hall. The bomb exploded in the air right above this building. My temporary home in the district of Kagurazuka, Tokyo. It's a Japanese house, but furnished in Western style. The windows are covered with screens which let in a pleasant, diffused light. Just opposite the gate of the house is a children's playground. Let's go and see what the kiddies are up to, shall we? Oh, you sweet little thing. Has someone been nasty to you? Now wait for it, Daddy. I'm not quite ready yet. Wait for it. Steady, steady, crump. The streets near the house are narrow, quiet and clean. Unfortunately, their picturesqueness is somewhat spoilt by the presence of poles at the side of the road carrying numerous cables. They say it is too risky to lay the cables underground because of the frequent earthquakes, but I don't know if that is the real reason. This is the main street in Kagurazuka. It is gaily decorated with red and yellow plastic leaves to signify that the season is autumn. The local temple. After the visit, the obligatory family photo. From up here we can look out over the rooftops of Tokyo stretching into the distance. Another temple, a Buddhist temple, out in the country near the town of Hakone, in the foothills of Mount Fuji. We've come here to see the so-called Daimyo Kyoretsu, or procession of feudal lords, which is reenacted here every year. What was this procession all about? Well, during the Tokugawa period, that's to say from about 1600 to 1860, the shogun resided in Edo, today's Tokyo, and he devised a very ingenious way of keeping his feudal barons in order. He commanded that they should attend his court in alternate years, and that when they went home, they should leave their heirs and wives in Edo as hostages. He further commanded that when they came to Edo, they should bring with them a large number of retainers dressed in expensive costumes and carrying gifts as well as supplies for their stay in Edo. By these means, the shogun effectively minimized their ability to accumulate money with which to raise armies to wage war against him. Clever, eh? Among those taking part in the procession we can see various types of soldiers, porters, palanquin bearers, pole bearers, ladies-in-waiting, musicians, and of course geishas. The institution of the geisha, by the way, still exists, but it is probably true to say that it is gradually dying out, and it is certainly the case that it is gradually becoming degraded. Young women today are no longer prepared to go through the long apprenticeship needed to acquire all the accomplishments of the true geisha. There go the geishas. A pretty sight, aren't they? Now let's go for a trip on Lake Hakone. The boat's rather nice, isn't it? Presumably it's a replica of something, but I don't quite know what. On a clear day it is possible to see the top of Mount Fuji from here, but unfortunately it's not clear today. But I suppose that is hardly surprising. It's November now, and winter is approaching. Winter is mild in Tokyo itself, but out here in the mountains it can be quite severe. the obligatory group photo before leaving the quayside. The Japanese just love photographing themselves and being photographed, and no occasion is lost. A longish journey by cable car takes us up and down mountains and across a deep crater. But now we can hardly see anything because of the mist. From the terrace of the Mount Fuji Hotel, we look vaguely in the direction of Mount Fuji, but alas, it is well hidden. What a piece of luck, though. Just as we reach halfway up the mountain, the clouds part for a moment, and there she is, the peak of Mount Fuji, the highest mountain in Japan. Back in the bright lights of Tokyo, a pachinko parlor where people play at pinball machines for hour after hour as if their lives depended on it. Another peculiarly Japanese activity is kendo. Here in the Budokan, or Hall of the Martial Arts, the annual kendo competitions are taking place. Kendo means the way of the sword, and it is an art which goes back to the 12th century. Originally, it was practiced with real swords, but since the Meiji Restoration in 1868 and the dissolution of the samurai class, a bamboo stave has been used, and the protagonists now wear a protective helmet. But the principles employed remain the same. The most important thing is the concentration of power at the proper instant, which requires perfect coordination of the body and lightning speed. Just now I mentioned the Meiji Restoration of 1868. This was a crucial event in modern Japanese history. The shoguns had been virtual rulers of the country since 1600, and the emperors had been mere figureheads. But for a number of reasons, the shogun's power declined. The final blow came when the American Commodore Perry came in 1853 demanding trading and other concessions. The shogunate was too weak to respond and collapsed, and the office of emperor was returned to its full status. The Japanese understood that their weakness was the consequence of over 2 centuries of self-imposed isolation from the outside world, and they set themselves the task of catching up with the industrialized countries of the West. As all the world knows, they succeeded in doing this with astonishing speed. Anyway, the point of mentioning the Meiji Restoration was that we are now at the Meiji Shrine in Tokyo, and it is November the 15th, a very special day. On this day, known as Shichigo-san, or Children's Shrine Visiting Day, thousands of kimono-clad children aged 3, 5, and 7, escorted by their parents, come and pay their respects at the shrine of the Emperor Meiji. Here is the Shinto temple, and inside the crowd is circulating. Outside, proud parents get their children ready to be photographed. All right then, everything ready now? Good. I must say, I have never seen such beautiful children in my life. Look at this little darling. Oh dear, someone's crying. It's all been just too much, hasn't it? Just look at the decoration on the hair of some of these girls. It may be made of plastic, but so what? It's tasteful and beautiful. Well, this is too much, really. I could stand here all day taking photos. Well, just a few more before I leave this unforgettable scene. Here at the Tokyo Motor Show there is beauty of another kind, mechanical and technological beauty. But it is not only the flashy new cars that people come to see. Also worthy of inspection are the neatly dressed and tastefully made up girls whose job is to introduce the cars. The idea of offering the customer a pleasurable or aesthetic sensation in addition to the product itself is a very old Japanese idea, and we see it here. Of course, no motor show in the West is complete without its girls. But the difference is that whereas in the West the girls are incapable of doing anything more than draping themselves across the bonnet of a car dressed in a bikini, and smiling for the photographers, the Japanese girls actually know something about their company's products and continually talk about them to the public. Well, they don't talk all the time, of course. Part of the time they just look pretty, and they do that very well. What on earth is going on here? It's one of the most amazing and amusing sights in Tokyo. Every Sunday afternoon here at Harajuku, a part of the road is cordoned off with stalls, and thousands upon thousands of teenagers come here in groups to work off their surplus energy. They put their cassette players on the road, turn them up to full volume, and jive as hard as they can go for hours on end. As one writer put it, they create an impression of rebellion and non-conformity, and their youthful exuberance is a far cry from the dignified restraint of the tea ceremony. And yet, to a great extent, even these young people are prisoners of their tradition. They organize themselves in feudal-style hierarchies, they follow the instructions of their leaders without question, they put the interests of the group before their own. And when the music stops, they return to a world created not by Elvis Presley, but by the shogun Ieyasu Tokugawa. After a 3-hour, 600-kilometer journey by bullet train, I arrive in the ancient political capital and still the cultural capital of Japan, Kyoto. This is the Nijo Castle, built in 1603 by the first shogun, Ieyasu Tokugawa, to reside in whenever he visited Kyoto. To detect intruders, the floorboards were made in such a way that they squeak whenever trodden upon. And here is the Kinkakuji, or Gold Pavilion, built by the third shogun. The original building was actually burnt down, and this is a replica. The old imperial palace. Again, the original was burnt down, and this was only built in 1854. Just a few years before the emperor left Kyoto forever and went to Tokyo. And finally, the Todaiji Temple. This building is said to be the largest wooden structure in the world, and it houses a giant bronze Buddha weighing 450 tons. But now it's time to say sayonara to Kyoto, and indeed to Japan, surely one of the most fascinating countries on earth.